This is a wonderful name, a wonderful oxymoron name if I ever heard one, because there's nothing neutral about net neutrality. And this comes, of course, from the Obama administration. It's punitive, and it is complete and total government control of the internet. And this is why the Trump administration did away with it, and this is why the Moonbeam administration wants it.
Well, that's right. The people who are those in favor of the current censoring of content on the internet are also those in favor of what they like to call net neutrality, which is the government takeover of the internet. Now, it would be a soft tyranny at first, but when it's all said and done, you would have less choice, fewer options, and you would have fewer options for your personal use on the internet. And the fact of the matter is, net neutrality is only 2 years old. This only stopped last year, and it only had been in effect for 2 years. Prior to that, Graham, there was no net neutrality. There was a free and open internet. To have a net neutrality regulatory scheme would reduce the number of innovations that could be done on the internet, and it already has seen a 6% reduction in expenditures to broaden the internet for everyone.
You know what this is? To me, this is a signal to Democrats across the country that, hey, California is going to buck, of course, everything that President Trump does in spades. But it's also a signal that, hey, 2 years from now, if you can get a candidate in there that'll defeat President Trump, we can get that net neutrality back in on the national level. But there's also something else going on here when you look at the big picture on this net neutrality thing. This is very similar to me, I think, from a constitutional perspective, of the sanctuary city policies in your state, in California. Right. It is a nullification of the Constitution. It is a nullification of the duties of the federal government and the domain of the federal government. The state of California, through its legislature and now the governor, by signing this bill, is usurping the power, nullifying the United States Constitution. And the Justice Department should not let them get away with it.
The federal government has a supremacy clause in which it can take over certain aspects of what they've already agreed on. The state and local, as well as the federal governments, have already agreed on what the purview is. So what Brown and company, Javier Becerra and all the folks who think they know better than you, it's just they want to take over certain aspects of things because they don't like what Donald Trump is doing on a federal level. And therefore, they'll get their comeuppance. It'll take millions of dollars and years in court to finally have somebody tell them, hey, guys, guess what? There's a U.S. Constitution, and this violates it.
Yeah, and they love to waive the Bill of Rights when they want to waive the Bill of Rights, when they're not trampling on the Bill of Rights. In this case, they're going to waive the Bill of Rights in court and say states' rights. Something else Governor Brown signed into law is this notion that there must be women, females, on boards of directors of publicly traded companies. Now, this is fascinating to me on multiple levels. Number one, clearly it's affirmative action on steroids or gone berserk, however you want to look at it. Number two, this is dictating company policy. It's incredible that a state would even come up with a piece of legislation like this, but it's also, you're a woman, you tell me. Seems to me it's a slap in the face of women that, hey, you're not good enough. This is an admission that you're not good enough to sit on this board, so we're going to force you, we're going to wedge you in there.
75% of the companies, publicly traded companies in the state of California, have women on their boards. Now, as they roll out this new, you have to have a woman on your board proviso, what's going to happen is you're going to have these women going, well, does people think I'm a quota baby or something here? I mean, I did get here by dint of my own hard work, but not anymore. Now they're going to have a quota system, and by 2019, you'll have to have one woman on your board, and by 2021, you'll have to have at least 2 women on your board of directors, depending on what the size, rather, is of your board of directors.
I always say on the golf course, you reverse the bet. Now, imagine if they came up with a piece of legislation that said to NOW, the National Organization for Women, hey, you got to have men, you got to have X amount of men on your board. I don't think that would fly very well.
You don't think so either?
Something else that the governor signed, sexual harassment. Apparently, in California, NDAs non-disclosure agreements, which have been in the news, of course, a lot lately, are no longer valid in the Golden State. They're null and void, and all California workers must be subjected to mandatory sexual harassment training at whatever cost.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One America News on YouTube, and call your cable provider and kindly demand that One America News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.